The thing I'm struggling to wrap my head around is hiring 100 people in a year and a half while never having management experience or never hiring people beforehand. What was the biggest growing pain there?
So my first year was a lot of testing. Not only testing with like health and stuff, but also just testing kind of like the business model that I wanted to have, what I wanted it to look like. And I think the approach that I took differently, just based on having gone to a high-level mastermind with people that had tons of money, and I literally spent my last dollar to get to it. I had the mindset of like I was able to see their outcome of like where they landed, and I had seen a lot of people that had sold their agencies for like crazy money, but then their like health was completely deteriorated. They were balding, they were having issues, they were overweight. They couldn't touch their, like basic things. They couldn't touch their toes. They couldn't have kids because of not sleeping and pulling all-nighters and stuff. So like for me, I was like, okay, well, I don't want to have that outcome. So how do I solve that now before I get to that problem? And then the same thing in business. It was like I saw all these people with all these growing pains, like you were saying, like they had to shut down because they didn't have enough employees, or they had to shut down because they didn't get enough clients, or whatever, like their systems broke down. So I was able to kind of identify successful people and kind of like ask them their questions of like, okay, well, what didn't work out? And then do a ton of testing and figure those things out beforehand so that when I actually encountered them, I'd be like, oh yeah, I already know the answer to this thing. Like I've already tested this and this is how it works at a small scale. So that was one of the big things for me is I spent an entire year of just testing, like just trying to run it up myself. One of the big things that I knew that I needed also was a partner. And I think especially in the agency space, you have to work with a partner. In most businesses, but in the agency space, you have to work with a partner because one of you is going to be good at lead gen and sales and marketing, and the other one's going to be good at operations. Yeah. But the operations is not going to be good at the other one, and the other one's not going to be good at the other one because you're just going to be, if you can do it, sure, that's great, but you're going to be unhappy.
And both those things are just like a black box. Like you could never stop improving lead gen and sales. Like there's always something that you can optimize. Same thing with operations. So like you literally can't be at your best unless one person is dedicated to each, just because there's never ending improvement that can happen in both.
100%. So I spent that first year also looking for that. Failed with like 3 different partners. And then finally, January of last year is when I signed my current partner. And that's actually when we went from 20 to 100 employees in 8 months when I actually found the right partner.
Yeah, it's huge. That's like literally the number one piece of advice that I have as well for agency owners is like find a business partner. Because like that's just what worked for me. Like you were saying, like you see how people around you are successful, like they all have business partners. Mm-hmm. And so like just get a business partner, right? It's like success leaves clues.
And I always like looked at like even like big people, like, or everyone's like, oh, I want the whole pot though. And I was like, if you look at like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, like none of them own more than 10% of any of their companies because they realize like I can't do it by myself, you know?
And you don't need to.
Yeah.
That thought generally just comes from a scarcity mindset in the first place.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this short clip, check out the full interview here. And if you want to see more clips from this episode, check it out right here.